ratio of guineas earned to hours confined in her company was already looking to be a poor deal. "Lady Trevelyan, I do beg your pardon," he said, interrupting her absorption in the sketch. "I'm rather late for an appointment across town, but we shall meet soon." He gave the bell rope a tug to begin the serious work. Mrs. Ronson, the housekeeper, was prompt in bringing his guest's coat, though neither she nor Stephen were able to do much about Lady Trevelyan's parting monologue. A disordered flurry of society gossip begun as she was almost agonizingly out of the door and extended for several minutes on the landing. In the end, Mrs. Ronson practically had to strong-arm her down the staircase before Stephen could safely close the door. Consulting his watch again, he found that he actually was running late with no time to change. Exasperating, really, after he had gone to the trouble of booking the hotel. Not very debonair to show up late and ungroomed. 5 minutes later, he was taking the stairs 2 at a time, having squirted on a bit of cologne and straightened his tie's hurried knot in the hall mirror. He'd fix it on the way. Something else was bothering him as he descended to the pavement and broke into an awkward half-run. The shoes. They were pinching with a vehemence he could almost have taken personally. He had bought them the previous day in a new shop on the Brompton Road, failing to notice the tightness across the uppers. Damn, he should have gone to Lob. The August day, the last of the month, was sultry but overcast, with that granular quality of light that seemed to anticipate rain. Turning into Royal Hospital Road, he flagged down a cab and, once inside, tried to compose himself. His reflection played hide-and-seek in the window. He was vain, he knew, of his toffee-coloured hair brushed back from his forehead. His handsome, symmetrical face lacked only, which he didn't know, a small quirk of individuality that might have rendered it truly interesting. He fiddled with the knot against his collar and, having moulded it to his liking, speared a tie-pin through the yielding silk. Stephen Wiley had been lucky in most things and had learned not to mind being resented for it. Born just late enough to have escaped the Great War, he turned 18 the week before the armistice. He was able to take a place at Oxford, left unclaimed by one of those young men ahead of him in academic distinction, now stretched cold beneath a field in France or Belgium. He proved to be no scholar, preferring to refine his talent for drawing, and after graduating went to study at the Royal Academy. Around the same time, he found himself the beneficiary of a small inheritance, or, as some called it, a small fortune. A friend, on hearing the news, remarked that Stephen could not supply his future biographer with a title, The Life of Wiley. It enabled him to buy a flat in Chelsea, which he furnished from the proceeds of the small oils he had begun to sell. His natural affinity was for landscapes, but that changed when a Scottish grandee of his acquaintance commissioned a large portrait of his 3 children. The Daughters of Fitzroy Traquair, shown at the RA in the summer of 1931, was the making of his name. The Burlington magazine hailed him as the British Sergeant, and the Telegraph sent a man to take his photograph. Before long, Stephen was a sought-after guest at the houses of collectors, artistic patrons, titled worthies. The invitations began to pile up. Gratified at first by his social elevation, he soon came to distrust. He was clear-sighted about his technical skills, considering himself to be a distinctive painter of nature, but merely an adequate portraitist. That estimate proved at odds with his rising acclaim. In his cups, he would say that he only took commissions from people he despised because they were too stupid to see what an inferior talent he was. His reluctance to turn them away hid a deeper insecurity. He hadn't enough money to stop pleasing others, and had far too much to feel pleased with himself. In retrospect, he realized that being discovered was not entirely a blessing. He had never quite possessed himself since. The cab had crawled to a halt, amid shoaling, honking traffic at the top of Sloane Street. This was getting him nowhere. He paid the driver and stepped out.